Hello friends, and welcome to the video. So we're in the next section, the next episode in the Direct Path User Guide by Goode. We're going through the book. We're really nearly at the end of the, we are at the end of the opaque witness section. This witness that we, after discovering that we're not the body and that we're not the mind, often it's a temptation to build the witness, the self, to be basically another mind, a psychological witness. And we're dissolving that to become the transparent witness, looking at carefully. Today we're going to look at truth and knowledge. So in other experiments we saw previously in the course, we saw that thoughts don't have what is called a reference. So they don't have anything they refer to outside of awareness. They are just arising in awareness, they're experienced in awareness, and they point directly to awareness, not to any sort of hypothetical world out there. They might be about a hypothetical world out there, but there's no link. Now, because of this, we've got the concept of truth, where if something something's true if it represents something in the world. So it's a bit like if I were to do a painting of some bananas, and I have some bananas in front of me, it's true to life if the painting looks like the bananas. So, and in the case of your thought is true if it corresponds to what's out there in the world. This is correspondence, the idea of truth being correspondence. So if it correctly represents something out there. But we saw that everything just arises directly in awareness. So this idea of truth dissolves. Now, I'm not saying that that water doesn't boil at 100 degrees, or that Madrid isn't in Spain. These are conventional truth. It works perfectly fine in the everyday world. We're looking at something deeper, and how what truth is and knowledge is if we look at it directly. So yes, you still have to pay your taxes, go to work, and all of that stuff. But does it have this correspondence to something outside? And because we don't find anything outside awareness, this idea of truth dissolves. So the direct path does talk a lot about truth, and what is it then in this context? So truth is basically the directness of our experience. When we let go of this idea of correspondence, truth, and believe that something must be true because it's out there, it releases us from what Goode calls truth effects. So this is the psychological grip of fear, dogma, certainty, belief, hope, even an ideology. Just basically the idea that something is the case because a concept says so. Now, we see that, in fact, what truth is the directness of our experience before the mind imposes concepts on top of it. So we look without doctrine, without hearsay, what people tell us is true, without belief, without fear, hope, or even spiritual expectations, to the truth of our experience. And knowledge is similar. So knowledge, traditionally, we imagine that knowledge, I have knowledge about something out there, but and it's true, of course, if it does, again, if it has this, if it corresponds to something out there. But what happens in the direct path is, if we try to know something, so if you try to know an apple, you or anything, you find that really it has its root in experience, and this experience, that its root is directly in awareness. What knowledge is knowing awareness. It's not even knowing awareness. It's in fact not knowing and being of what's there become one. They're the same thing. Now, so in this way, we let go of the idea that there's a subject and something out there that it knows. We find that truth and knowledge kind of just bring us back to direct experience, bring us back to non-separation instead of this separation, and then back to awareness and this direct truth of our experience. So that's that. We're really at the end. Now, you may say, okay, Sir James, so the direct path isn't true. And yes, this is the point in the whole series where we are going to let go of the truth of this teaching tool that we've been using. You know, there's that saying, I think it's either Buddha or Sri Ramakrishna said, use a thorn to remove a thorn, and then you throw both thorns away. The witness is an important tool to make us realize that we're not the body and not the mind, but eventually, so that it doesn't become another thing, another duality, this opaque witness where all the mind is actually hidden in and all the workings of the world. We're dissolving that, we're letting go of that, and we will, yes, let go of even the idea of the direct path, but when it's done its job, don't let go of it too soon, or you just have to kind of repeat the mantra that I am awareness, there is just awareness, and you don't really get any leverage on really getting rid of this ingrained conditioning that we all have. So the next two experiments are going to be looking directly at the arisings, and we will be wrapping it up, probably just one episode after that. So thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.